Today's video is brought to you by HelloFresh, and I'll tell you more about that later on in today's video. Transfer twists keep on twisting, as this afternoon it has been confirmed that we have made an offer for Leicester City's midfield player in Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. Today, my friends, we have so many massive stories to get through. It is going to be a jam-packed video, so I'm not wasting any more time with the intro. Hit the like button, share your thoughts and opinions, but before we get into anything, I have one very special announcement to make first. Yes, Chelsea and football fans, this summer, you're dedicating a ton of energy keeping up with all this transfer business and Euro activities, so you're going to need the right fuel to stay in the game. And this is where you can let HelloFresh help your meal selection headaches, because you're a serious person with serious priorities. And as we all know, ball comes over anything else. So HelloFresh's meal kits are exactly what you need this summer, with their nutritious, healthy and delicious meals that you can choose from. As you guys can see, these are the 3 meals that I selected. I went for a quick, easy stir fry because I love my Asian food. And after that, I went for more ambitious meals because I'm trying to impress the bae this weekend. So I went for something a bit more bougie. HelloFresh comes packed with an amazing selection and variety of meals that you can choose from. All you need to do is select your desired meal. Then follow these simple cooking instructions to create a delicious meal with no extra time. My friends, as you guys can see, I'm pretty happy with how my meal turned out. So my friends, take advantage of this amazing HelloFresh deal. Get 60% off your first box plus 20% off your next 2 months. On top of that, you get free desserts for life, and all you have to do is scan the QR code on screen beside me, or use my link in the description, pinned comment, using my unique codes BlueLions. HelloFresh respects your time. You can pause, cancel, or change delivery address whenever you need. So thank you today to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Take advantage of this amazing offer, and I love to see what meals that you guys pick. And let's start things with the first story involving what is said to be the second significant sale under Clear Lake, and that is the sale of Omari Hutchinson to Ipswich Town, because right now we are locked in negotiations with Ipswich over the permanent sale of Omari Hutchinson. Included in the sale talk, we will have a sell-on clause attached to the deal. There are no buybacks, he won't be coming back, and Ipswich are set to make Omari their record transfer buy in their history, with the estimated fee believed to be between £22 to £23 million, so a far cry from these potential 30 million bids we had hoped to get. Regardless though, we can make some nice money in the future from a sell-on clause, because Ipswich see it like this: if he's successful, most likely he leaves them to go to a bigger club for more money, and that benefits us in the future. And if it doesn't work out like that, we still earn extra money in the future that can help us for any potential accounting woes that we may face in the upcoming seasons. I think it makes sense for Omari to continue working under McKenna, who kind of used Hutchinson in a similar role to how Glasner used Olise last season at Crystal Palace. I think the only thing that kind of miffs me a little bit is the fact that if we're flipping Omari Hutchinson after signing for 3 million and to bring in a profit of over 20 million, that is a significant coup. But unfortunately, it seems like the profits we are generating aren't going into signing these big upgrade players that will actually boost the first team right now. Not in 5 years, but for right now. So in a sense, I'm not really understanding the transfer policy at the moment, especially when this window in particular, it does seem like we are investing in more sideways moves over upgrade signings. But anyway, my friends, share your thoughts and opinions. And now we discuss today's massive developments surrounding our efforts to sign Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, courtesy of reports from Ornstein and Romano. Ornstein states that we have submitted an offer to sign Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, and Romano provides more context, as it's believed that we are set to include a player in exchange plus money on top to get this deal over the line. Now, 2 players that have been mooted in a potential swap include Cesare Casade and Datro Fofana. Now, this makes a lot of sense because Brighton at the moment were supposedly the favourites and in the lead to capture Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, and they actually offered their Polish midfield player Imoda plus 25 million on top, which was accepted by Leicester City. Obviously, now that we've learned the proposal, all we simply have to do is match whatever Leicester have offered, but include a different type of player. Now, with Casade already having experience being at Leicester City, training there, working there? Could he feel like that is the next move he wants to make? Time will tell, because we're also learning of a lot of interest back home from Serie A. Let's see what happens. But in the case of Datro Fofana, a guy that we spent £10 million on, it's quite clear that he has no future here. I'm a bit surprised that we aren't really keeping him for a bit longer, because I thought he is someone where he could have a 6th season, get like 15 goals, and then his transfer value goes up 2x or 3x, right? So I'm a bit surprised that we're so quick to involve him in sales already when he's barely been here. But fair enough, that's life now at our football club. That's how things work now. Naturally, since Dewsbury-Hall learned of our interest to sign him, he has cancelled all negotiations with Brighton. So Brighton must be fuming after all the groundwork they've put in has been for absolutely nothing. And it's a no-brainer that he wants to come to play for us, a club with massive prestige, and continue working under his manager, which he has a lot of tactical familiarity and experience working under. So now that his medical has collapsed with Brighton, it seems likely that we have a massive possibility of signing him and bringing him to our football club. And I guess this opens up the other conversations around this news, with the main one personally coming from myself being, what the hell are we actually doing? Now, on one hand, I think it's very easy for us to just cast our minds now to Conor Gallagher, because Dewsbury-Hall would be the replacement for Conor Gallagher, right? Of course, we know Gallagher potentially could leave if someone pays the money that we want, which no one is doing at this point in time. And reports are giving us an indication that naturally Maresca wants to work with the star man, and maybe the fact that he has that tactical familiarity working on Maresca makes it more of a signing that we need right now to get things on the ball, to not waste any time, to start working straight away. But then I think to myself, are we not absolutely stacked in midfield? Don't even think about Conor Gallagher. Think about your Chukwuemekas. Think about your Andre Santoses. Think about other players like this. I mean, there's only 11 positions on the field. We're most likely set to use at least 2-3 midfield players max. We have an abundance of other players that can also play centrally, like Palmer and Nkunku, etc, etc. What is the full need to sign a Dewsbury-Hall when you're already stacked with talent? What does it say about this transfer policy where we've invested so much money into players for the future, but when the present is here, we don't turn to that future, we turn to signing your Dewsbury-Halls? And think about it like this way. I see it like this. Under this ownership, would we have signed Dewsbury-Hall as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old? Probably not. I don't think he would have met requirements, and the young players we have signed have a greater capacity and potential compared to what Dewsbury-Hall would have had as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old. But that's the funny thing about development and football, and how development is not linear, because somehow at 25 years old, Dewsbury-Hall has now become an attractive player that is good enough now to be prioritized over all the young players we're signing, and has greater potential and a more pressing, important need for the team, which is kind of mad. Now, I get the arguments. Nini, of course, he knows Maresca's system. Like, we have to buy him regardless of the young players we wasted millions and millions on. Like, he's important. Cool, I get it, but you know what? He came from the Championship, for God's sake. We keep talking sometimes about positional play and technical play and all this stuff as if we're signing players from Barcelona and Real Madrid. No. If Maresca can get his ideas across to a team in the Championship, I'm pretty confident with the capacity of this squad, he could easily work with them. Oh, Nini, positional play requirements are different. If they were that different, why did he introduce Ndidi, a DM, to play as an 8 in his system? He needed a guy that can press from the front. But is Ndidi necessarily the most technically accomplished player you've seen? Absolutely not. And we kind of have that Ndidi guy in Maresca's system, in a Conor Gallagher, that can press from the front. So people can't say that the technical demands are just so high right now that players we have can't match that. Like, my thing would be this. Listen, if we were so desperate to sign like a left-sided centre midfielder, if we had made a move for Eze of Crystal Palace, I could maybe understand that more. Why? Because he's a more technically accomplished player and a better football player. But we aren't using our funds to sign great players like that can really add something new and different to the team. It seems like we're just investing constantly in these sideways moves that might not have any real kind of progress in the future. And listen, we've been burnt by us signing lots of midfield players that have gone nowhere. Look at your Drinkwaters, look at your Barclays, etc, etc. Hopefully Dewsbury-Hall won't be another one, But I just think to myself, my lord, with all the funds and abundance of talent we have, the fact that we are investing money into a Dewsbury-Hall instead of promoting what we already have, and Chukwuemeka, Andre Santos and a ton of players. What does this communicate about the whole project and model? Honestly, I'm really baffled by this story. You guys don't have to agree with me, but you know, I will always talk the truth about how I feel, and that's how I am, right? So you can share your thoughts and opinions. I guess we need to have a conversation. How do you feel about this news? And now we end things with 2 more stories, because also we are targeting another talent from the Championship, and this time it is Leeds United's young wonder kids in Archie Gray. Now this came courtesy too of the Telegraph, and I think this also kind of confused and surprised me a bit. But regardless, the story is that we are potentially looking to make a move to sign him for the team. And basically, with our demands this season, we're going to have a lot of football potentially, including Conference League, including cup games, league demands, and the Club World Cup. If we have a great season, we could be playing around 75 to 80 games next season, which is a crap ton of football. And I guess the thinking is we need a stronger, bigger squads to cope with those footballing demands. Maybe especially because we have a pretty injury-prone squad, because a lot of these guys are quite young. Now, Leeds United would want well over £30 million, and essentially with all the recent business we've been conducting, we are targeting players from clubs that are under stress by having to comply with profit and sustainability rules. That is the reality behind it. Nearly every story I'm covering is coming from a team like an Aston Villa, or it's coming from, a Leicester City. It's coming from clubs where they're more inclined to have to sell right now to comply with PSR. And it's no different to Leeds United, especially after they missed out on securing a promotion to the Premier League. So they could be selling their top talents. You're looking at Somerville, you're looking at Archie Gray as their big potential guys that can bring in a lot of money for right now. And Leeds United are going to need some of that money in right now. So are we going to take advantage of them and sign Archie Gray? Who knows? Let's see what happens. But in this window, nothing surprised me at the moment. Do I think that he makes sense? It's a weird one, because I really like this kid. I think he's got this grace in the ball I like. He kind of glides in the field. I've always just kind of been like attracted to that type of player style. I think like he looks very continental. Great weight of pass, tall, rangy. He can dictate play, kickstart games, etc, etc. But then ultimately, it was his first breakout season, and it's very easy to just analyze players by their best attributes without thinking about the reality of their use and what they can offer for right now. And the thing is, Archie Gray needs to still develop physically. There were games where he was tested a lot, and I don't think he necessarily asserted himself as one of the best players in the Championship. And I really feel like before you make that step up in your career, you must assert yourself to be one of the best in your division before you're ready to go to a club with higher demands. That's how the game works. And I just don't think we could ever offer the game time needed for Archie Gray to really blossom and develop, to showcase that potential. We aren't going to do that. Yes, he can play as a DM. Yes, he can play wing back. He can play as an inverted fullback too. That's all nice. That's all good. Was he necessarily blowing the world away playing as an inverted fullback? No. He was getting done by wingers, and that's going to happen because he's playing outside his best position and he's still quite young. So my thing would be this. If we're targeting Archie Gray, we're not doing this for footballing reasons. We're doing this for business reasons, because essentially we see it like this. There is an opportunity on the market to capture a guy for under his value, beat out all the competition to him right now, and then we own this guy and we take him off the market so other clubs can't compete. And in the future, maybe he could be worth it for our first team. That's how I see it, because the footballing reasons don't really add up, because I don't think he's needed. I'm not going to use him as an inverted fullback because we have Reece James, Gustav Cucurella, and we're hoping to sign a big money left-sided centre-back, right? He won't play in midfield because we're stacked in midfield, so there is no apparent use for him right now, unless the plan would be to loan him out for the next 1-2 years. But then why would Archie Gray risk his development by being thrown here, thrown there, without there being like a proper solid plan? So I'm not too sure about the story. Let's see what happens. But I think the kid is a very interesting player, and I would not be surprised that he becomes an England international, because we don't produce enough of these types of players. And for the final quick story, we discussed a Demarzio report suggesting that AC Milan may be coming back in to try and attempt to sign Carney Chukwuemeka. Now, if you guys didn't realize, we actually beat AC Milan to his signature when we signed him from Aston Villa all those seasons back. Last season, Milan tried to come in again with a loan move. That never went through. But with how we're constantly looking to add to midfield and constantly looking to sign players, could Milan try to tempt Chukwuemeka to actually persuade him to sign for them this time? Now, if any deal happens, I'm not expecting it to be a transfer. I'm expecting this to be a loan. This works in the favour of the player and AC Milan and the finances. And I think to myself, if you're Chukwuemeka and you're learning today that we're set to try and sign Dewsbury-Hall, and that's essentially taking a position away from you in the squads, how are you feeling right now? Are you going to feel the trust from the club? And they gave you 100,000 a week, when they persuaded you to sign, when they gave you all this talk, do you really believe that the club has your best interests when the manager won't even turn towards using what he already has in the squad and instead wants to turn to players he's worked with a division below in the championship? Does that really add up and work in your favour? Time will tell, right? But if you ask me, I think players that will most likely leave in midfield, they're going to be your Gallaghers, they're going to be your Casades, and maybe Chukwuemeka if the right loan move comes in, because honestly, I think that's most likely going to happen now that Nkunku, Palmer and all these guys are ahead of him. So my friends, that is the latest news at the moment. You'll imagine there's going to be more stories coming out today, so make sure you guys are locked in on BlueLionsTV. Take advantage of my HelloFresh offer as well too before it runs out. And of course, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all soon.